Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Parakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Sya Om Ajnana Timaranda Shagana Shana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bishtam Supurkam Garganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samastaveda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Abhidam Ujwalam Bharatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Vande Vishwagurun Shah Divyad Bhagavat Premnavi Bijapradam Devam Divyatanum Suchanavaranam Balarka Chilanshitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Maraika Sharanam Yashishwara Sridharam Manchakopatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahamaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Hidden Treasure of the Sweet Absolute, with translation and commentary by Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev-Goswami Maharaj, translation into English by Sri Swarupananda Prabhu, and this is the chapter 18 of the Bhagavad Gita, Moksha-yoga, the path of liberation, on page 324, verse number 33. Dritya yaya darayate mana pranendriya kriya yogena vyabhicharinya driti sa partha sattviki. O Partha, determination of the nature of goodness is that determination which unfailingly and with single-minded concentration controls the functions of the mind, the life airs, and the senses. O Partha, determination of the nature of goodness is that determination which unfailingly and with single-minded concentration controls the functions of the mind, the life airs, and the senses. So this is the nature of determination in goodness that is controlling the mind, the life airs, and the senses. We heard about determination in the Upadeshamrita. Utsahan nischaya daryat tat tat karma pravartanat jana sangha jana tyagi satovrite shadbir bhakti sadbir bhakti prasidyati. Utsahan nischaya daryat tat tat karma pravartanat jana tyagi sato vrite shadbir bhakti prasidyati. That these qualities are favorable to devotion. Utsahan, enthusiasm. Utsahan nischaya daryat. Here it mentions daryate, daryat. Utsahan nischaya daryat. Enthusiasm, patience and determination, tat tat karma pravartanat, jana sangha jana sangha, or in this case, jana tyaga satovrite. So enthusiasm, determination, and also patience, following in then also Utsaha nischaya dharya tat tat karma pravartana. Following all those principles of favorably of devotional service. Let me see if I can get the exact translation, just to not be. Okay. Here. Here it is, the third verse. Utsaha nischaya dharya tat tat karma pravartanat sangha tyaga sato vrite shadbir bhakti prasidyati. Enthusiasm, conviction, perseverance, engaging in favorable activities, giving up bad association, and following in the footsteps of the sadhus, following the conduct of the sadhus. Bhakti is nourished by these 6 qualities. Utsahat, enthusiasm, nischayat, conviction, and daryat, perseverance. Engaging favorably, engaging in favorable activities, following the conduct of the sadhus, or following in the footsteps of the sadhus. These are activities which are favorable for devotion. So, the determination of the nature of goodness is that determination which unfailingly and with single-minded concentration controls the functions of the mind, the life airs, and the senses. Yaya tu dharma kamartan dritya dharaya terjuna prasangena Valankangshi driti sa parta rajasi. O Partha, O Arjuna, determination of the nature of passion is that fruitive, attached determination which adheres to religiosity for the purpose of amassing wealth to fulfill mundane desires. O Partha, O Arjuna, determination of the nature of passion is that fruitive attached determination which adheres to religiosity for the purpose of amassing wealth to fulfill mundane desires. Okay. That's determination of the nature of passion. And it's fruitive means attached to the results. Attached determination which adheres to religiosity for the purpose of amassing wealth to fulfill mundane desires. So it's a determination which is materially centered, based on calculation for profit and enjoyment, like that. And then 35 here. So, did we read that right? We read, Yaya tu dharma kamartam dritya dharayate Arjuna prasangena phalankangshi driti sa parta rajasi. So, previously I read, Dritya yaya dharyate mana pranendriya kriya yogena vyabhicharinya Driti sa parta sattviki. That was determination of the nature of goodness. And then yaya tu dharma kamartam dritya dara yaterjuna prasangena phalakangshi driti sa parta rajasi. O Partha, O Arjuna, determination of the nature of passion is that fruit of attached determination which adheres to religiosity for the purpose of amassing wealth to fulfill mundane desires. Then next we'll have determination of the nature of ignorance. Yaya swapnam vayam shokam vina vishadam madam evacha na vimunchati dormeda Driti sa tamasi mata yaya swapnam vayam shokam vishadam maram evacha na vimunchati durmena driti sa tamasi mata. Determination of the nature of ignorance is that by which a foolish person does not give up sleep, fear, sorrow, depression, and arrogance. Determination of the nature of ignorance is that by which a foolish person does not give up sleep, fear, sorrow, depression, and arrogance. So, someone who's deeply in ignorance, and his determination is always subjected to elements like sleep, sleeping more than necessary, fear, lamentation or sorrow, depression, and arrogance. Okay. And then we have verses 36 and 37. Sukham tvidanim trividam shrinu me bharatar shava abhyasad ramate yatra dukantam cha nigacchati. Sukham tvidanim trividam shrinu me bharatar shava Sukham tvidanim trividam shrinu me bharatar shava Abhyasad ramate yatra dukantam cha nigacchati yat yad agre vishamiva parinamem ritopamam tatsukam satvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam. Sukham tvidanim trividam Shrinu me bharatar shava abhyasad ramate yatra dukantam cha nigacchati yat agre vishamiva parinamem ritopamam tatsukam satvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam. O Bharatarshava, now hear from me about the three kinds of happiness. That state in which one is joyful through his practices while attaining the cessation of all unhappiness, and which in the beginning is like poison, but ultimately like nectar, and which is born of the purity of self-realization. That happiness is said to be of the nature of goodness. O Bharatarshava, now hear from me about the three kinds of happiness. That state in which one is joyful through his practices while attaining the cessation of all unhappiness, and which in the beginning is like poison, but ultimately like nectar, and which is born of the purity of self-realization. That happiness is said to be of the nature of goodness. So this is all we remember very well. The state in which one is joyful through one's practices while attaining the cessation of all unhappiness, and which in the beginning is like poison, but ultimately like nectar. So it's spiritual practices sometimes, especially for someone who's beginning, for instance, someone who's beginning one's spiritual practices as like for a brahmachari or brahmacharini, and there's so many things that one has to learn and so much difficulty in adhering to that initial practice. So that happiness, which in the beginning is like poison, but ultimately like nectar, is that happiness and goodness. In the very beginning, there may be so many difficulties for someone taking to devotional life. They have to go through so many different rules, regulations, austerities, and they don't understand why I'm doing this and why am I going through so much problem and running into so many difficulties with other people who can't understand why I'm doing this, like that. So in the beginning, it's like poison. But later, as one goes on, then it becomes, everything is like nectar. So later it just seems everything is very nice and it's going on very well, and one is actually thankful that one didn't turn away from the path or go with the normal goals of this world. Yes, I remember when I was studying and everything was going okay, and then I thought, well, everything's okay, but one problem with this is when I finish with my studies, then I'm employable, and then that means I'm purchased like someone's dog. And then I was thinking, well, I don't know if I want to go through this for that kind of goal of just becoming employed. It doesn't seem to me, because I'm just being purchased. I don't really. So then I decided, well, then I met with the devotees. And then what the devotees said, I liked it, but in the beginning, so many principles, so many rules, regulations, I thought, well, what is the necessity of all this? But I looked to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada, and I thought, well, he's someone who I can look up to and I appreciate. So that's what it's all about, that can attain, that makes it worthwhile to be able to follow that kind of a teacher. Seemed very good. Vishayendriya samyogad yattad agrem ritopamam pariname visham eva tatsukam rajasam smritam. That happiness which is born of the contact of the senses with their objects, and which is like nectar in the beginning, but poison in the end, is said to be happiness of the nature of passion. So that happiness which is born of the contact of the senses with their objects, and which is like nectar in the beginning, but poison in the end, is said to be happiness of the nature of passion. So one goes on with one's passionate engagement. And I have really no commentary about, because when we normally think about passion, we might especially think about the relationship between, based on sexual attraction. Now, we think of passion. If we think of passion, we think of that, like some passionate love. And that's what everyone's singing about. That's what so many songs are about that, and so many poets are writing about that. But it says it's like nectar in the beginning, but poison in the end. And I don't know in what sense. I can't generalize, how it's like. I know how it would seem like nectar in the beginning, and I don't. But as far as poison in the end, based on that level of attraction, I don't really have any experience in that. Said to be happiness of the nature of passion. And one thinks that so many persons say, in fact, so many of our acharyas, they were grihastas, they had wife and children. So I can't generalize anything based on of what it means to be married. I would think that if someone followed a devotional life, whether they're grihasta, vanaprastha, sannyasi, or brahmachari, it would all be worthwhile. But here it says that when you're just attached to the enjoyment of the senses, it will seem like nectar in the beginning. Oh, this is a wonderful thing. But at the end, it seems like poison. And I guess, or maybe all, if we can think about it, we can think so many things will follow. That I see that people are attached, and they in this mundane world, they become involved in these relationships, and then there are children, and then there is work, and then there is bills, and then there is anxieties, and I wouldn't say I wouldn't know, because I think the fact that when somebody becomes a devotee, then everything becomes moderated by that. One's not subject to all the unhappiness of the normal material world. But I would think that sometimes people, without that guidance of Krishna consciousness, they're like a ship lost. So everything seems to be very like nectarine, if we can use that word, but then one becomes lost by not knowing what is the actual goal of life. Then we go on here. Yad agre chanubande cha sukam mohanam atmana nidra lasya pramadotam tattamasam udaritam. That happiness which is self-deception from beginning to end, and which arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion, is called happiness of the nature of ignorance. So, yes, there's some happiness associated with ignorance. It can be based on one's fantasies, so many people will enjoy happiness of that nature based on sleep, laziness, intoxication. Illusion is called happiness of the nature of ignorance. Natad asti pritivyam va divi deveshu va puna sattvam prakriti jar muktam yad ebi shatribir gunai. Natad asti prativyam va divi deveshu va puna sattvam prakriti jar muktam yad ebi shat tribir gunai. Among all species on earth, including the humans, or amongst even the celestial gods in the heavenly plane, there is no entity that can be free from these modes which are born of material nature. Amongst all species on earth, including the humans, or amongst even the celestial gods in the heavenly plane, there is no entity that can be free from these three modes which are born of material nature. So this is the modes of material nature, and they are affecting everyone. They are the gunas. And guna means modes of material nature, and also means like rope. One is tied up, just like one is bound by these modes of material nature. Brahmana Kshatriya Visham Sudranam Cha Parantapa Karmani Pravibhaktani Sabhava Prabhavargunai. Brahmana Kshatriya Visham Sudranam Cha Parantapa Karmani Pravibhaktani Sabhava Prabhavargunai. Brahmana Kshatriya Visham Sudranam Chaparantapa Karmani Pravibhaktani Sabhava prabhavar gunai. Oparantapa, according to their natures, the duties of the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras are appropriately classified. Oparantapa, according to their natures, the duties of the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras are appropriately classified. So, some people believe that one's born a Brahmin by birth, but this is not our understanding. Our understanding, based on the Bhagavad Gita, is that it's by guna karma, by one's qualities and by one's work, not by birth. So, according to their nature, according to one's qualities. Let's see. Brahmana Kshatriya Visham Sudranam Chaparantapa Karmani Pravibhaktani Svabhava Prabhavar Gunai. So, by qualities and work. Oparantapa. According to their natures, the duties of the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras are appropriately classified. Shamodamas tapa shocham shandir arjavam evacha jnanam vijnanam astikyam brahmakarma svabhavajam. Internal and external sense control, austerity, purity, forbearance, straightforwardness, knowledge, realization, and theistic mentality. These are the natural duties of the Brahmins. Internal and external sense control, austerity, purity, forbearance, purity, forbearance, straightforwardness, knowledge, realization, and theistic mentality. These are the natural duties of the Brahmins. Suryam tejal dratir daksham yude chapi apalayanam. Suryam tejal dratir daksham yude chapi apalayanam. Dhanam ishvara bhavascha shatram karma svabhavajam. Prowess, valor, endurance, dexterity, never retreating in battle, generosity, and regality, regality. These are the characteristic duties of the Kshatriyas. Prowess, valor, endurance, dexterity, never retreating in battle, generosity, and regality, or regalness. These are the characteristic duties of the Kshatriyas. Krishi Goraksha Vanijam Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam Paricharyatmakam Karma Sudrashyapi Swabhavajam. Krishi Goraksha Vanijam Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam Paricharyatmakam Karma Shudra Shapi Swabhavajam. Agriculture, cow protection, and trade are the natural work of the Vaishyas. Agriculture, cow protection, and trade are the natural work of the Vaishyas. And natural to the Shudras is service to the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, assisting them in their various works. Sve sve karmani abhirata samsiddhim labhate nara svakarma nirata siddhim yata vindati tatshrinu. One who devotes himself to his own duty attains perfection in self-knowledge. Now hear from me how a person attains perfection through devotion to his own duty. So I think I'll leave that for the next time. One who devotes himself to his own duty attains perfection in self-knowledge. Now hear from me how a person attains perfection through devotion to his own duty. Okay. I'll sing Hari Haraya. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jahoite Vignana Shabishta Puran H.I. Gosai Jar Mui Taradas Tasabar Padarenu Mora Panchagras Tader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Janame Janame More Abhilas H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majayaman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koryash Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Narata Modas. Oh, I just sang it straight through. I'll sing it now so we can repeat it if you want. Yeah. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jao Hoite Vignana Shabishta Puran Jao Hoite Vignana Shabishta Puran H.I. Gosai Jar Mui Taradas Jai Gosai Jar Mui Taradas Tasabar Padarenu Mora Panchagras Asabar Padarenu Mora Panchagras Tadir Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Tadir Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Janame Janame More Abhilas Janame Janame More Abhilas H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Chai Gosai Jabik Bhaje Koila Bas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majayaman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majayaman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamodas Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamodas Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamodas Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamodas Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gora Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Mura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Nitai Gora Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Nitai Gora Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtatara Sadashi Shrimad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtatara Sadashi Shrimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtatara Sadashi Shrimad Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev-Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Namachar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Prem Sigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Vishvavaranya Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Navadev Dham Ki Jai Shri Ram Mayapur Ki Jai Aparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Shri Kuladvip Ki Jai, Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai, Soquel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Sevashram Ki Jai, Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan, Sham Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, all the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. You see,